Welcome back, FNUSA57 here. I am back on Fallout 76 on the Xbox One, and today I will be sharing with you my stealth sniper build. So this is basically a max damage rifleman build. I worked with a couple of my friends on this, some brainstorming, bouncing ideas off of each other, so shout out to AFK and Zyric for helping me out with that. But let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go through all of the cards and show you. Basically, I have a couple different setups, but I have really high stats because of this. I don't have my well-rested bonus and everything at the moment, but I do have other stats that are modifying this. And the whole principle for this build is to be able to basically one-shot the majority of enemies in the game and then pretty much do whatever you want. So obviously you can see that I'm level 237, which, yeah, I've got a few things, a few hours and a few kills in this game, to say the least. I'm chilling in a nuclear silo, waiting, and if they fixed the nukes from the other day, at the end of the video, I'll show you this build in action against the Scorch Beast Queen. So, what we're going to look at, just to give you an idea, this is my just average running around farming things setup, and I'll tell you why I use what when I get into my cards, but I'm going to show you the main weapons that I use and show you their damages. So I do have a 2-shot explosive lever action, and it's doing 1269 damage per shot. I have a 2-shot hardened piercing handmade. Obviously these weapons are fully modified. That does 700 plus damage per shot. I have a different version of that handmade that I just traded for, but I don't like it quite as much. And then I use the 50 cal machine gun against the Scorch Beast Queen, and I have my dragon, which is my sniper rifle weapon. In terms of armor, I don't have a full set of unyielding armor, so obviously this is 1 month after the game released, and I've been farming that entire time trying to get a full set of God Roll unyielding armor, but I just haven't been able to get that yet. I'm still looking for it and will trade for it if you guys happen to have any of the pieces that I'm looking for and you don't need them. But let's go ahead and take a look at the cards, and then I'll explain each weapon and everything. The way my build is set up to function in a team. So it's going to be very different from what you have probably seen out there. I haven't looked up anyone else's build, so I don't know exactly, but this one, amongst my friends, is a very unique playstyle. It's a low strength build. I only have 2 points in strength, and that's literally just to use Bandolier rank 2 to reduce the weight of my ballistic ammo by 90%. Which is why I can carry so much ammo. I can carry all those different types of ammo that I use. And then I have 15 points in perception, which, like I said, this is my average running around killing stuff build. So I have level 3 tank killer, level 3 expert rifleman, level 3 master rifleman, level 3 concentrated fire, and level 3 rifleman. Basically all the cards for non-automatic rifles. That's your bolt action, lever action, or semi-automatic handmade. Then I have 2 points in endurance, and I run Aqua Boy, so I don't take radiation from swimming, basically walking through water, because I don't want to take radiation since I use a low health build. And I run Rad Cool because I cap my health at 20% for most fights. So the greater the rads, the greater your strength, which gives me extra strength, giving me extra carry weight, and that can compensate a little bit for the lack of points in strength. I run 4 points in charisma, and like I said, average running around, playing in a group. I run travel agent to save on caps because fast traveling eats up all my caps. I run strange in numbers to benefit the positive effects of my mutations when in a group with teammates who are mutated as well. And I run a rank 2 inspirational, so when you're on a team, you gain 10% more XP. Obviously, I love XP. It doesn't really do a whole lot for you. Once you get to level 50, you get all of your special points. Once you get to level 100, That's where the last achievement's at, and by the time you get to level 150, depending on how you spent your points, you should pretty much have every perk card in the game. So anything after that is simply just for fun. I run 8 points in intelligence, which allows me to run the combination of cards just by the bare minimum that I want. So while I'm running around, I use Gunsmith at level 5. My guns break 50% slower. And I run 3-star Nerd Rage, which is while below 20% health, I gain 40 damage resistance, 20% damage, and 15% action point regen rate, which is very, very important because obviously we're looking for as much damage as you can possibly get. Under agility, I have 15 points because agility directly affects your ability to sneak, plus it affects your action points. So I run a rank 3 action boy, or if your character was female, it would be action girl, and that causes your action points to regenerate 45% faster. I run rank 3 covert operative. Your range sneak attacks deal 2.5 times normal damage, because again, it's a stealth build, so we're going to have sneak attack the majority of the time. I run rank 2 Mr. Sandman. At night, your silenced weapons do an additional 50% sneak damage. Very important because literally every one of the rifles that I use has the ability to have a suppressor on it. So why not get the additional sneak attack damage? It is possible you could swap that out with something else during the day, or if they ever give us the ability to have loadouts, you could have a different pre-selected set of cards for during the day. But right now, I just keep that on all the time because the day-night cycle goes by pretty quick in this game. Then I run rank 3 sneak, so I'm 75% harder to detect while sneaking. That's very important to remain stealthed. Keep that stealth so you keep your sneak attack. I then run the escape artist card, which this card doesn't work as good as it could, but it does work pretty good. You sneak to lose enemies and running no longer affects stealth. It's not like the best card, but basically if you can break line of sight with an enemy, you can usually get hidden again, get your stealth attack back. And then lastly, I run rank 3 adrenaline, so you gain 8% max 48% damage for 30 seconds per kill, and the duration refreshes with every kill. And this way, it's not super helpful when you're dealing with like one enemy, but usually enemies come in packs. I mean, pretty much everything comes in packs. The only thing that doesn't really come in packs is like Wendigos. But if you find a Wendigo, there's usually ghouls or something else around it. So I like adrenaline. And then in luck, I have 10 points because luck directly affects how fast your critical recharges. It also helps out with finding better durability items. And I run a level 3 class freak. The negative effects of your mutations are reduced by 75%. I run rank 3 bloody mess, which is 15% bonus damage. It's just a flat 15% bonus damage. Applies to every weapon, applies no matter what health you're at, no matter what health the enemies are at. It's just always a 15% damage bonus. Right now, because I'm carrying a lot of aid items, preparing for the Scorchbeast Queen fight later, and I have Cranberry Relish because XP gain. If you want to know what that does, I have a video on that. But I do have Good with Salt on right now. Normally, I would not use Good with Salt, and I would swap it out for Better Criticals, which is your VATS criticals do 40% more damage. And then I throw on like a 1-star, either Critical Savvy if I'm using Bobbleheads, Curator, or I'll run like a rank 1 Good with Salt, or something like that, just depending upon the situation. But obviously right now I'm not really using my VATS critical, and I'm trying to preserve the food items, so I'm running the Good with Salt. You could also run the Luck of the Draw card too, if you want. And that's my setup for just running around as far as cards go. Now I'm going to show you the armor that I use. Obviously use the best armor that you have at the moment. That's going to be different for everybody. I have a auto stim robot left arm. It's not great. Obviously auto stim is not a very good ability to have, especially on a low health build, but it does have reduced falling damage by 50%, which is pretty nice, and a +1 to intelligence. I would recommend with a full low health build, like ideally what I would have, my ideal armor is 4 pieces of unyielding combat armor and then 1 piece of chameleon combat armor. That's my ideal set, but I don't have that. So right now I have a chameleon shrouded wooden right leg. It's only a 1-star and it's only level 45, but I have this one because it has shrouded on it, which is a special armor mod you get from a quest. It only applies to wooden armor, but it improves your stealth in dark areas. It gives you faster movement speed while sneaking, and it greatly reduces the weight. Normally this piece weighs about 3 pounds, and now it weighs less than half a pound with that mod on there. So shrouded wood armor is probably the best mod for wood armor. I have the Hunter's Long Coat, which is aesthetic. I have the Beer Hat, which is, again, aesthetic. I'm using the Mutant Slayer's Studded Leather Right Arm. I'm using this one because it was the best roll I could get with weapon weights reduction on it, due to the fact that there is no card in the game currently to reduce the weight of rifles, and since I'm a rifleman spec, all of my rifles weigh a lot, and I like to carry multiple different ones depending on the situation, so I use this. I've got 15% less damage from super mutants, which is meh. Usually don't fight them that much. Most of the time they don't see me if I do fight them. A +1 to luck, which is decent, and of course the weapon weight reduction. And then I have studded and deep pocketed on there. Sunglasses, which is for the thing that they have going on at the moment, the challenge. I run the Shielded Road Leathers Under Armor. It gives me 10 physical and 5 energy resistance with a +3 to perception, a +3 to agility, and a +1 to luck, which is perfect for me because perception, better VATS accuracy, agility, better sneak, and luck, my critical recharges faster. So that's my Under Armor. I do have a couple pieces of unyielding gear. They're just not God Roll unyielding gear yet. Then I run, which is kind of not helping me at the moment because it's Vanguards and I'm a low health build, but I do run this piece of Shadowed Combat Armor, which is actually my very first 3-star legendary drop in the game back before they nerfed the drop rate for legendaries, and it did roll halfway decently. So it is combat armor level 50, which means it has the best damage resistances outside of power armor. It has reduced damage while sprinting, and then grants up to 35 energy and damage resistance the higher your health. So this is basically like tank armor, if you have a tank. If this was unyielding, it would have been God Roll, or Chameleon, it would have been God Roll. I used the Veil of Secrets, which is the only item in the game, by the way, guys, that functions as a gas mask, so it protects you from airborne diseases and things like that, but it does not really have the weight of a normal gas mask, and it does not have the penalty to perception. You get that by doing the first 2 quests in the Mistress of Mystery quest line. And then lastly, I have this piece of weightless leather armor. It is a 3-star level 50 again. I've got a +1 charisma rolled on it. It weighs 90% less, which is meh. And it's got ammo weight reduced by 20%. So this helps me to manage my weight. I would prefer that it was chems and food reduced by 20% than ammo, since I use bandolier, but it's still pretty nice. I have studded leather to boost its damage resistances, and I have sleek so I move faster while crouching. All of my armor remains the same, except for ideally I explained to you how I would have the unyielding combat armor with 1 piece of chameleon combat armor. The reason why you want 1 piece of chameleon gear is if you are crouched with 1 piece of chameleon gear on, you go into stealth, which is very, very important. It helps you remain undetected, and it's also very good at making it harder for players to deal with you. In terms of power armor, I always use the same power armor. This is my suit of combat power armor. It is Exo 1 armor, level 50, fully modified. So I've got calibrated shocks on the legs. I've got emergency protocols on the torso, which allows me to run my low health build while in power armor, because that one makes me sprint faster and it reduces incoming damage by 50%. I have Tesla bracers on the gauntlets, but Tesla bracers are kind of meh, so I'm looking for better mods for that. And then I have the VATS matrix overlay, which improves my VATS accuracy while in power armor. It doesn't say that it does, but it does make it so that your fusion cores burn a lot quicker when you use VATS. Just keep that in mind. All that stays the same. So now let's go ahead and I'm going to reduce my health to the point that it's at 20% capped. And I need to do that by actually getting radiation, which is obviously pretty easy to do. I don't want to put my hunger up because right now I actually have well fed. So I don't really want to keep that bonus. I want that bonus to go away while I'm at low health, but I don't want to reduce my health too much to where that kills me. So this is very tricky to pull off, but if you do pull it off, it's worth it in my opinion. I am going to go ahead and pop a bottle, or bubble gum, sorry. And I normally reduce my health by taking radiation either naturally or by drinking like boiled water, things like that. I will eat a cranberry relish, so that's okay for now. And I'll just refresh my glowing meat steak, which, it is whatever. Ionized meat is also a really good way to get your bonus radiation up because it gives you 30 rads per piece. It's a very effective way. Unfortunately, I did that without actually having my starch genes card on, which is another thing that I didn't mention to you. But if you are mutated and you watched my video about mutations, you're going to want to have level 2 starch genes on so that you can freely run and use Radaway or take radiation without gaining mutations. But that's only if you're going to run this build and you somehow get lucky to get all the mutations without getting empath. Basically what you want to do is keep an eye on your health. You'll have about 50 points in health with my build the way that it is in a team. So you just got to keep taking radiation damage. I have 57 points in health, which is exactly the normal point where it caps at 20%. And now you'll notice obviously Nerd Rage activated, which will go back up to the Handmade, and it's back now up to 1387, 834 for the Handmade, 1387 on the lever action, 504 on the 50 cal, and my Dragon's up to 3715. Now, let me show you my more serious build. Because obviously right now, with the way things are, well, I can one-shot just about mostly anything except for like a Scorch Beast while it's flying. Once they land on the ground, I can definitely one-shot them. So I'm going to go ahead and show you my more serious build, which is when I'm in really heavy combat, mainly the Scorch Beast Queen specifically. So I change a couple of different things for the Scorch Beast Queen. Obviously, Good with Salt leaves. We take that card off. I only use my 50 cal against the Scorch Beast Queen. So I use one gun army, and I usually share it. I will use a rank 2 one gun army and equip rank 2 starched genes if I'm doing it and I don't have the empath mutation, because the empath mutation is the only bad mutation, really. But I'll explain that literally in a minute at the end. So obviously I run the one gun army simply because at rank 3 it has a 12% chance to stagger and a 12% chance to cripple a limb. Normally I run it at rank 2 with rank 2 starch genes, so I can use Radaway and not lose my mutations, or I can take radiation damage and not gain the mutations. under the charisma tree, and you do have to equip these cards in a very specific order, otherwise it does not work. But under charisma, I run a rank 3 tenderizer with strange in numbers. Rank 3 tenderizer makes it so your targets receive 7% more damage for 10 seconds after you attack. And then the very last card that I equip is my demolition expert card. I have to find that one for you real quick, though. Where is it on the list? I have way too many cards. Wish I could sort them better. But it makes your explosives do 100% more damage. Now that is the explosive blast portion of the damage from your 2-shot explosive weapons. So I equip that lastly. I'm not going to equip that right now, though. I'm going to go ahead and show you. Basically, we summon the Scorch Beast Queen. I get there, and just as the event starts, I take off Bandolier, because obviously I can't fast travel without Bandolier. But I put on rank 1 Expert Heavy Gunner and rank 1 Heavy Gunner, which gives me a 20% damage bonus specifically to my 50 cal. So as you'll notice, the Handmade didn't change. Still 1,096 damage per shot. Still 1823 with the lever action. But obviously, you know, we've got all the bonuses going in. Now my 50 cal Prime Receiver, which the Prime Receiver basically ups the damage to that of a normal hardened receiver, plus it has an unstated or unspecified amount of bonus damage versus Scorched and Scorched Beasts, but it drops this weapon to the point that it's doing 778 damage, even though I'm not spec'd to use 50 cal. So while it does less damage than my Handmade, because of the fire rate and ammo capacity, it's better to use the 50 cal than the Handmade against the Scorch Beast Queen. Now the very last card that I equip is my Demolition Expert, and you have to do them in this order, otherwise the bonuses do not stack correctly. And you'll notice that my lever action now does 2,739 damage, my Handmade does 1,647, my 50 cal does 1,169, and my Dragon does 7,337 damage per shot. Alright? Like, I'm broken at this point. Hell, a card that I'm not spec'd for, my laser rifle does 124 damage per shot. Like, everything that I have does a massive amount of damage per shot because of running this spec. Also, what's kicking in at this particular point is all the mutations. So now I'm going to go ahead and cover mutations, and then lastly we'll cover the temporary use items. So under mutations, you'll notice that I have 18 out of the possible 19 mutations. I would recommend that you watch my video on mutations so you know how to get them and what each one of them does. Because of all the cards that are equipped right now, I have Adrenal Reaction, which is more weapon damage at low HP. Obviously, that's kicking in along with the whole Nerd Rage and Unyielding and all of that. I have Bird Bones, which gives me a bonus to agility and reduces fall speed. I have Carnivore, so I can eat meat with no chance of disease. I have Chameleon, which is kind of meh. I have Eagle Eyes, which increases my crit damage and perception. I have Egghead, that increases my intelligence. I have Electrically Charged, which again, meh, only applies if people melee attack you. I just got Empath, which is absolute garbage. I don't like that mutation. It makes it so you take 33% more damage, but your teammates take 33% less damage because of the cards that are active. Because I have that mutation and AFK has that mutation, it's okay. It cancels each other's mutation out. So it basically makes me take normal damage and it makes him take normal damage. But if you can get all the mutations without having that one, that would be the best way to do it. I have Grounded, I have Healing Factor, I have Herd Mentality, which increases your special stats while in a group. I have Marsupial, which gives me more carry weight and higher jump height. Plague Walker, that gives me a poison aura if I am under the effects of a disease. Scaly Skin, that gives me more damage resistance. Speed Demon, that makes me move and reload faster. Talons, that gives me unarmed damage and bleeding damage. Doesn't really help that much, but if you ever need to punch something or use a gauntlet weapon for a challenge. Twisted Muscles, which increases my melee damage and gives a chance to cripple at a negative 12 gun accuracy penalty, which you would say is bad, but it's actually not because of the agility from the other mutations. It more than compensates for that gun accuracy. So it's just a benefit in the event that you ever do need to melee anything. And lastly is Unstable Isotope, which is the chance to irradiate melee attackers. It's not necessarily the best because the downside to that mutation is there's a small chance that you'll take a little bit of radiation when that procs. So while you're at low health, capped with radiation, you really don't want to take any more radiation than you absolutely have to. So if you could do this and get really lucky or buy every mutation serum or recipe to make the serum, I would recommend getting every mutation in the game. Highly recommend that, with the exception of Empath and Unstable Isotope. But if you do that, then you must at all times run Starch Genes level 2. This card right here that I'm going to show you. If you do not run Starch Genes level 2, then you will have the chance to gain a mutation or lose a mutation when you get Radaway, and it's really, 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 really bad because I got rid of Empath on accident the other night on stream by using a Radaway when I clicked the wrong button, and I was really happy about that, and now I'm really sad about that because I don't want Empath. It's literally the one mutation in the game I literally don't want. I said literally twice because I really, 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 literally don't want that mutation. I don't like it. It's fine when I'm playing in a group and everyone else has it, but when I'm playing by myself, it really sucks. Now, lastly, let's cover, as you can see, my stats. I showed you my points at the beginning of the video, but now, right now, I have I have 8 points, strength, 33 perception, 6 endurance, 10 charisma, 27 intelligence, 31 agility, and 17 luck without any unyielding gear or any bolstering gear. I literally have no gear that benefits me at low health. Now lastly, we're going to cover temporary use items. Temporary use items are items that we will use specifically in the Scorch Beast Queen fight. I use bubblegum whenever I can find it. I love this stuff. It's 50% slower hunger and thirst for 10 minutes. Absolutely love that. It does give you 1 radiation, so do keep that in mind. I absolutely love Cranberry Relish. It's 10% XP gain for an hour. Like I said, if you want to learn how to make that, I do have a video on it. I love Deathclaw meat because when you cook it and make Deathclaw steaks, it gives you a percentage of damage resistance, which is phenomenal for the low health build. And I like glowing meat steaks that give you a plus 10% melee damage, but they're not necessarily the best. I do like, however, orange mentats if you're going to use a chem, but they're not really the absolute best. The 3 that I use in the Scorch Beast Queen fight, specifically, I use this wonderful bobblehead called Explosive. It gives you plus 30% explosive damage for an hour, and it persists through death. So that'll make my explosive weapons do even more damage. Once we launch the nuke, I pop that bobblehead, and then when the nuke lands, just as we start the fight, I use, if I can find it or buy them from other people, I use the Grognak, the Barbarian Volume 5. It does damage versus Scorched plus 15%, which is pretty damn good. And then lastly, so like we pop those 2, and by the way, that's for half an hour. I distracted myself. But I pop the bobblehead in the magazine right when we go in. And then while we're waiting, as soon as the Scorch Beast comes into play, you want to draw her back out of the radiation area, out of the blast site. And I usually carry a couple of these phantom devices. They're a hybrid stealth boy and hallucinogenic grenade put together, so they make you invisible and they take you out of combat so you can get your stealth attack back. Plus any immediate little stuff near you gets frenzied and won't attack you for a few seconds. And we have a team that uses the Endanger All Syringer. And then as soon as the Scorch Beast hits the ground, I'm talking literally the moment she touches down, you open your inventory and you click one of these Psychotats, and that increases your damage by 25%, damage resistance by 15%, and gives you a +3 to perception for 3 minutes. It does increase your hunger and your thirst, but it makes your already insane damage go completely insane. Put it to you this way, my dragon is at 8914, my 50 cal is at 1421, my handmaid is at 2000, and my lever action is at 3328. Just ridiculous damage numbers. Alright, now I'm going to go through and show you a little bit of what I can do with these damage numbers already. Just kind of running through this silo. And if it lets us launch the nuke, I will show you how I go and fight the Scorch Beast Queen. But in case it doesn't let us launch, because the nukes were completely locked out for like all day yesterday, I'm going to go ahead and say I hope the video helps. If you have any questions at all, feel free to ask. I'll do my best to answer them for you. And if you did enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like on it and share it with your friends, as that greatly helps me out with the searchability of videos here on YouTube. Of course, if you can, subscribe for more content. And hopefully you enjoyed. I won't be talking to you at the Scorch Beast Queen fight, but, well, at least you'll be able to see how we do it. So, until the next time I talk to you guys, remember, stay frosty.